Hey, if you just clicked on this video and you're not consistent at killing bucks, please watch the rest of it and share it with your buddies. If your buddies ain't killing deer, let them listen to this. All right, good evening, everybody. We are coming up on deer season. It is now mid-August. We have 2 months, month and a half in some places in the state, Mississippi. So I've kind of had this on my mind for the last few months, but I've never known how to go about it or do it. This is a little bit different for me. Obviously, I've never done anything like this, just a straight talking to a camera. And I feel like it'd probably be a little bit more comfortable if I had someone with me. We could go back and forth and actually just talk to each other. But I don't have that. So what I've done, I've made me a little outline that I'm gonna go by. But what I'm gonna do here today, I'm gonna go over what I think is the 3 major factors of killing bucks consistently. Things vary. A lot of things vary. You got to be in the right place. You got to be where the deer are. You got to be where the bucks are. If you're hunting like I used to hunt years ago, and by no means am I sitting here telling y'all I'm a professional hunter, a killer, none of that. I'm confident in myself. I'm very confident I'm going to kill my 3 legal bucks in my state a year. I'm getting to the point now where I want to venture out. I went out of state last year. But the way I used to hunt was just, oh, these woods look good. That doesn't matter. You got to be in the woods where the deer are. You just walking through the woods, oh, these woods look good. I'll see something. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work. Some places it may. It depends on how lucky you are or how close you may be to a decent bedding area or whatever. But all that aside, that's a whole nother rabbit hole I can go down. I could talk about that for hours, about how I used to hunt versus how I hunt now, about how I used to not see deer, not kill deer versus how successful I am now. Anyway, so the 3 major factors to killing bucks consistently, to me, weather, the move times, which is the moon, and the rut. You don't have to have all 3 every time. If you can get 2 out of 3 and you're in a good place, maybe you're successful. If you're in a good place and you have all 3, chances are you're going to kill a buck. My chances for me have jumped tremendously. My opportunity, my success rate over the years has jumped tremendously. Watching these 3 things, dealing with these 3 things, doing my research, and pinning down when and where I need to be hunting. And let me say this also, a lot of this I'm talking about is public land, and not necessarily even draw public land or quota land or special opportunity hunts, and everything's called something different in different states. I'm talking about open public land where anybody who buys a hunting license down the road can go hunt. This is a pressured deer situation. Now, I'm not saying this won't work on private lands, but you probably don't necessarily need to get this deep on private land. I personally, I don't really have any private land to hunt. I have some I may can go a day or 2 on, something like that, but I don't have any private land that I can go decide what I feed my deer. I can decide what I plant my deer. I can manage and decide what kind of pressure gets put on them. So this is public land, the public land edition of my 3 factors are to kill a buck. So before I get off on these rabbit trails, I'm gonna get right into it. This deer right here I brought outside. I killed this buck in January. The video's on my channel. I brought him out here. He's nothing spectacular. He's not a big, huge buck, but for where I hunt, this is a good deer. This was a 3-year-old buck where I hunt. A lot of you may not know, some of you do. I'm hunting deep south Mississippi. I'm 30 miles from the Gulf, so there are some big deer down here on private land, managed land, and there's some big bucks on public land too, don't get me wrong. But the particular one I'm hunting, these piney woods, this is a good buck, and I was more than happy to take him. The reason I brought him out here is because all 3 of these factors played a part in me killing this buck. This was the second to last deer I killed this past hunting season. All 3 of these things worked into my favor to kill this deer. I'm going to go through these, and I'm going to go through a little story. I'll show some clips of this deer right here. All right, so weather. We're going to talk about weather. Obviously, anybody without getting down into the nitty-gritty of what you need to be doing here knows if it's hot outside and it changes to cold, let's go hunting. All right. So if it's changing to cold, you're either there's a front coming or it's already came and passed. A front moving in, I think deer get antsy. The front hits is better. I think you're going to see deer moving. Me personally, I like 30 to 40, or let's just 24 to 48 hours, more or less. That second day of daylight after a front hits is what I like. And if it's significant enough to be a double-digit temperature change, so you say it's dead of winter or fall, it's 60 degrees high during the day. Your highs are 60s right now. You see on the Weather Channel, Wednesday, the high is going to be 48. Okay? So you got a 12-degree temperature change Tuesday night. That front's coming in Tuesday night. Wednesday, you're going to have a 12-degree temperature swing from 60 to 48 degrees. That's the front hitting. That's good. More than likely, it's going to be the same the day after, probably the day after. A lot of these fronts don't just hit for 12 hours and they're gone. When they hit, you're going to be cool for 2 to 3 days probably. Depends on how big it is and how long it hangs around. That's me. When I mention weather, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a double-digit temperature change. Or, this is another weather thing I'm looking at. A wind switch, which kind of coincides with the temperature change, because more than likely if you have a bunch of 5 or 6 days worth of 60-degree weather, you're probably going to have, I don't know, maybe a east southeast wind, west southwest wind, something like that. When that front hits, your wind's going to change out of north. That's a temperature swing, a big temperature swing. So for 5 or 6 days, these deer are working off of a southerly wind, whether it's coming east, west, wherever. They're working their bedding areas, their feeding areas, their scraping areas, these doe beds. They're working with a southerly wind. And that north wind hits, things are going to change. They're going to start using different beds, probably checking their scrapes and doe bedding areas they're frequenting from a different direction. And that first day of that, you can, if you know where you think a deer's at, you know where these scrapes are, that first day that wind switches, catch him there. Instead of 2 or 3 days where he's got comfortable, he's got more cautious about checking it, right? So that's another thing, a wind switch. And a wind switch doesn't have to be with a cold front. If it's cold outside and the wind's going to swap to blowing out of the south tomorrow, that's another wind switch. That deer is going to change what what his daily routine is going to be, and you can probably catch him slipping. Second major factor I follow is the move time. This is a big debate between a lot of people a lot smarter than me. You have, I could sit here name all these people that are smarter than me about deer hunting that debate on this moon topic. So you have what you call major and minor move times every day. You have 2 majors, 2 minors. The major is when the moon is overhead and directly beneath your feet with the moon cycle, right? The moon orbits the earth just like the sun does, or we orbit the sun. So the moon is going to be directly over our head one time a day, directly under our feet one time a day. The minor times are moon rise and moon set. The moon rises just like the sun rises here. So you're going to have a minor when it's rising, and you're going to have a minor when it's setting. So your first major of the day, so how it goes is you'll have a major, minor, major, minor. The first major is when the moon is directly overhead. The second major of the day is when it's directly under your feet. So you have a minor when the moon's overhead. As it's setting, you have a minor. As it goes beneath your feet, you have that second major. And when it's rising again, you have your second minor. 4 cycles a day, or 4 move periods a day. So on the major, it's what I have followed, and a bunch of apps will tell you different times, a bunch of websites tell you different times, but what I believe, this is my opinion, a major you can pretty much count on probably an hour before, an hour after, overhead and underfoot. I think the minors are more like maybe an hour and a half, probably closer to an hour, maybe 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after. So I can elaborate on that a little bit more. When that moon hits directly overhead or underfoot, you're going to have an hour before and an hour after each one of them is your major move time. On the minors, rising, setting, you're going to have 30 minutes before and after each one is your minor move times. That's just the way I feel about it. A lot of these hunting apps will tell you the major and minor times, and a lot of them, some of them start, some of your moving apps show as soon as it hits overhead, that's when your major time starts. And it could be, like I said, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I think right before and right after you're going to have good moving times. And obviously the majors are up and down, so I think you got a little more swing in the time frame. Now, getting to moon phases. So you have a new moon and a full moon every month, right? I personally like to hunt behind a full moon, the day after, the second day after a full moon. That's just me, and I'll tell you why. When that full moon hits, any of these hunting apps are going to show you that that's the best day to hunt. The new moon, these hunting apps are going to show you best day to hunt. I personally believe it's the day, or let's say 2 to 3 days after. I like 48 to 72 hours after. And the reason is, if you do your homework and you look at it, none of these websites are going to jump out and tell you this information. If you look though, so 3 to 4 days after a full moon, or 3 to 4 days after a new moon, you get 2 majors and a minor in daylight. It may not be a lot of time. Say that first major of the day may be from 4 to 6. So an hour of it's in the dark, right? Hours in the daylight. Then midday, you'll have that minor, that hour to an hour and a half of minor movement. And then your second major of the day is similar to the morning. It may be from, let's say, 4 to 6. in the evening. You got an hour in the daylight and an hour in the dark. But you're putting yourself in situations where you have an hour of major movement in the morning, hour to an hour and a half of minor movement midday, and an hour of major movement before it gets dark. That, like I mentioned earlier, you got 4 of these, right, a day. Every other day of the month, you got a minor in the daylight, major in the daylight. This day here, 3 to 4 days after these 2 moon cycles, full and new, you got 2 majors and a minor in the daytime. If that don't stand out and make sense to you, I don't know. I mean, history repeats itself year after year for me. It's working for me. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep hunting those days as long as I have opportunity. Just look back at some of the deer you've killed and see if you can track what the moon was doing, when the major and minor times were when you killed that deer. See what you come up with. So the third factor is obviously the big one, the rut. The rut is obviously when the bucks are more active, up moving around, and they're a lot less cautious than normal. Even just downwind of scrapes, downwind of bedding areas, he's still on his toes, but he's a lot less cautious than he was a week ago. Because a week ago he's not out in the daylight doing these things. It doesn't take but just a few days. When the time is right, they're moving. They're going to be more active and a lot less cautious and paying attention. So the only thing bad about down here with the rut, and I've seen it happen. So let me back up a little bit. Where I killed this deer, it's about 7 days that I like. It's usually second week into the third week of January. 7 to 10 days. Well, if it's hot those 7 to 10 days, 95% of the activity is going to be at night. That's from my personal experience. People kill deer, still kill deer. I've killed deer, but you're not seeing near the amount. So, me personally, I'm gonna hunt as long as I'm off work and nothing's going on, whether it's hot or not. And when I say hot, I mean in the 60s, normal January weather, unless we get a good cold front. So the days following that may be better this time. If you're used to the rut a certain amount of days in your area and it's hot, handle some of your business, personal, business, things your wife needs you to take care of, whatever. If a cold front's going to hit right at the end of those days you're used to the rut being, you're probably going to have a little bit more activity. So moving along with the rut, say you hunt public land like I do, pressured deer, people are free range everywhere they want to be. I'm not necessarily patterning these deer. I don't use a lot of trail cameras. I do have a handful that I will put on a big scrape if I find one, or I may put one on a feed tree early season just to see. What I focus on as far as finding a buck, a lot of these bucks I've killed on this public land, it was the first time ever laying my eyes on them. Like I said, I don't fool with taking pictures of deer. This deer right here in all my years is actually the first buck off public land I've had a picture of that I've actually shot. But I don't do it a lot. What I'm getting at is during the rut, you've already been hunting, right, throughout the year. So I'm sure you have been putting your eyes on some deer, some doe groups, whatever. That's what I'm focused on when the rut hits. I'm not, obviously, I'm hunting bucks when the rut hits, but just say in theory, when that rut comes around, I'm hunting does. I'm looking to go hunt areas that I have hunted over the past few weeks or throughout the deer season where I've seen a bunch of does. More than likely, them does aren't just roamers. They hanging out within a couple hundred yards of their little core area, more than likely. And when the rut hits, one of them's bound to be getting right or wanting to get that way. And there's going to be a buck checking that area out. He's going to come by there and smell her out, or if he hasn't already by the time you get there. So that's me. If you haven't been seeing a bunch of does throughout the hunting season, before the rut is going to hit, go walking. Go find some scrapes. Go find some more big timber or bigger timber wherever you're hunting. It can be anything. Bigger timber where I'm hunting still thick. Bigger timber where you hunting may be wide open. You can see a couple hundred yards. Where I'm hunting, I have to find thickets inside thickets. If you hunt anything like I do, you will completely understand that. Find thickets, whether you're in big woods or already in thick woods, find something thicker. More than likely, there's going to be some deer engaging in that area. And if there is, or if there has been, a buck may check it downwind, especially if there's some sign in it. Around here, I don't really fool with beds. I don't look for them. If I see it, cool. I just don't get into that. It's so thick here, it's so hard to find them. Out west, I think, Midwest, it's a lot easier than it is here. Hunt downwind of thickets, whether, like I said, you're in big woods, thicker woods. Thickets that have sign around them. A lot of times these thickets are going to have scrapes, hookings, buck sign around them. Scrapes, like I said, some scrapes will be a scraped line, some scrapes will be bordering a thicket. However you find this sign, find it, hunt downwind of it. And I'm not saying, I was guilty of this in the past. You find a big scrape, I climb 20 yards from it. 9 times out of 10, that's not going to work, or it never did for me. It never even worked that one. I say 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 it didn't work for me. Back up off of it, 75 yards, 100 yards, whether you can see it or not. It don't matter if you can see that scrape. A lot of times these deer are going to skirt these things a pretty good ways downwind because they can smell. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be up on it. They don't have to see it, so you don't need to see it. And a lot of times they'll use what they call a J-hook method. So they'll come from somewhere and hook around behind it, whatever. Just try to find you a place to get off the back of these bedding areas or sign to where you think a buck is gonna skirt it downwind to where you can catch him in between it and you. That for me is 3 things that work. I don't know if I explain these things well enough for everybody to understand, but just think about what I'm talking about. Listen to it over again if you need to, and put it into play wherever you're hunting. So the reason I brought this deer out here with me is because all 3 of these things came into play the day I killed this deer, and I was paying attention to them. Obviously, I had gotten a picture of this deer on a big scrape the night before. I don't really remember where I was at. My camera quit on me, but anyway. So I had put a cell camera on a big scrape, saw a big track, and it's a place where I'm used to. I've killed bucks before. 3 or 4 days later, I get a picture of this deer about 10:30 at night. It's actually cool. We're coming out of a cool front at this time. Around 10:30 the next day, we're going to go back to a southerly wind, southeast wind as a matter of fact. It's the rut. The temperature's cool outside. We're behind the front, right? We're 3.5 to 4 days behind the front. We're still a double-digit temperature change. The deer are moving. Well, he's checking this scrape and all this on a north wind. like I said, about 10:30 the next morning, the wind was going to start easing back out of the south and start warming back up throughout the evening. The majors were from 6 to 7, something like that, 6 to late into 7, almost 8 o'clock that morning. And if you go back and watch the full video, I'll put the tab up here for it. I saw 2 bucks, saw a buck chasing a couple does, didn't get a good look at him that morning in the major time frame. It wasn't one, neither one of them I saw close up was ones I wanted to shoot. The minor was later on in the evening, closer to, I think it was like 3 to 4, something like that. And I'll stick this in here as well. I like minors, me personally. A lot of the bucks I've killed, a lot of the deer y'all have seen on this YouTube channel, I have killed within a minor time frame or 10 to 15 minutes after. Not before, after. I love a minor time frame, and that I'll stretch it out to 20, 25 minutes after. So anyway, I sat all day in this hunt, and right around the tail end of that minor, after the wind had switched, I set up to the north of the scrape I had the picture of this buck on, and lo and behold, around 350-ish, I think it was, I'd have to go back and look, about 350-ish, I catch him 70 yards to the north of that scrape with the wind hitting him. He's paralleling east to west in a thicket, and the wind's hitting him inside of his head from that scrape, walking straight to me, and I shot him. So the weather wasn't necessarily a double-digit temperature change, although we were in one, the tail end of one. It was the wind switch for me. The move time was the major, the tail end of that major that day, and it was the rut. Obviously, it was dead middle of those days I like to hunt in this place. I have killed 2 handfuls of deer, several deer within this time frame on this place since I've been hunting. So all this is just me. Like I said, I'm not an expert. This is all just my opinions, but it works for me. If you're not killing deer, if you're not doing it consistently, start thinking about these 3 things and planning your hunts a little better. Don't just, oh, it's hunting season, let me take my vacation at work. Don't do that. Look for these things. If you don't know when the rut is, talk to some local people, talk to people you know. If you're hunting out of state, talk to some locals. More than likely, if you're hunting around home, hunting some public land, somebody there is willing to tell you when the good days to hunt are, or you may know a buddy that hunts it that he knows. Find that stuff out, watch the weather, watch these move times. Like I said, a lot of people debate on it, but I trust it. I believe in it. It works for me. I want to start kind of getting into doing something like this. What I'd like to do is make a video possibly of all my deer and tell you when I killed them, the conditions and why I killed them, how I think I tricked them. I didn't trick them, but I was ahead of them. 99% of the time they're ahead of you, but if you can get ahead of them, you know what's going to happen tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. If you know what's going to happen and you can get ahead of them, a lot of times you can kill them, especially during the rut when they're not thinking right. But tell me what y'all think about all this stuff, and if y'all like the video, leave me a comment, like it, share it with your friends. I kind of like this setting here, doing things like this. I wish I had me an air-conditioned room in my house to do it in, but I got kids in my room, so if y'all like this, or if it gets a decent engagement, I will do some more videos like this. Like I said, one more time, I'm far from an expert on this stuff. It just works for me, and I kill deer doing it. So if you're not, check some of this stuff out. Listen to what some other guys that kill deer say, and a lot of this stuff will line up between a lot of people that kill deer. But yeah, that's all I got for now. Like I said, if y'all like the video, please consider subscribing to our channel. Like it, leave us a comment. What do you think about it? What do you think about these things? And how have they worked for you? Or I'll debate with you on it. What do you think? Do you think I'm wrong on anything? But anyway, that's going to be it for now. We appreciate y'all for watching. We'll see y'all next time.